What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today we are going to be working on a 2021 1860 Tracker Grizzly center console. Now this boat came from Jersey. The guy dropped it off a week ago. He wants me to install some LED lights in it and do the turf job in it. He brought me some lights from Southern LEDs. They got like snake tubes for interior and exterior of the rails. He does have a big bow mount spotlight that's going up on the front. And he's got two rooster tail lights. They're going to go on the back right by the pods. So it's a decent amount of work to do in here, and I'm trying to get this thing done as quick as possible because tomorrow Austin's coming back before he goes off to the tugboat job on Wednesday, and I basically got one day. He said he'd help me out turfing this boat. Now I can do all the electrical. That's stuff I can do pretty easily. Turfing, it's hard to do when you start talking about a good sized boat like this without some help, so I'm looking forward to having him help me do that. Tonight though, I got to get this thing in the garage, and I got to get at least some of the electrical started. Hopefully I got a little bit of metal work to do on the back of the boat before we start turfing it. I'm going to turn this camera around. I'm going to show you guys the boat and we'll get right into it. All right, check it out. Tracker Grizzly 1860. One thing I'm going to do up here is remove this. He said that he doesn't need this. He basically just used this to dig out the foam over here on this side. So I'm probably going to put a plate over this of aluminum and just rivet it down. That way we don't have to have this thing sticking up here, and we can just put a whole sheet of turf on this and cover it up. Now he did do a stencil job on here, which is kind of pointless for the deck. We're getting ready to cover that up, but it doesn't look too bad for DIY. It's like a Cryptek stencil camo or something, but I don't know. I think it looks a whole lot cooler than the original Tracker paint job they put on here. So pretty dope. We are putting a 1/2-inch cut groove turf in here. It's a dark gray color, and it's going to be pretty simple because this boat is pretty much wide open. The only issue I've got with it is these T-top legs in here. So we're probably just going to have to figure out some way to like put the sheet run next to it and then trim this next piece, because obviously I can't cut a hole and drop the whole sheet on here. It's just not going to work that way, but we should be able to figure this out. It shouldn't be too bad. I do got to clean this thing up really good before we start the turf. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to be doing the turf, so that's what I'm getting ready to do now. This thing did have some water in it. We're going to go over that in just a second. He's got these seat bases right here. We're going to take these off. Obviously, if you know anything about these trackers, this piece right here is removable, so you can get to the gas tank. There's a big plastic gas tank in here that sits inside of this bench. So we're going to remove this piece and unbolt these seat brackets. We're going to put those back on because he's got like two bucket seats or captain's chairs that go there. And we're going to take this piece and we'll turf over it. And then once we get done turfing over it, I'm gonna have to come back with my razor and cut a groove around here so this piece can be removable. That way we can go ahead and put these in after we get it turfed so it looks good. But a little bit of work involved in that. This is one of the things I don't like about these trackers, is the way that this back bench area is set up right here. It would be really cool if they could incorporate a hatch in here or some type of a removable faceplate. That'd be a whole lot easier, and we slide the tank out that way. But it is what it is. That's what we're gonna have to deal with. Now, he did order these hatches from me a while back, and I can't believe this dude drove all the way from Jersey to here with them just sitting in here. Look at this. They're not even connected. The dude drove like 9 hours. He's so lucky he didn't hit a bump and have these things fly out on him. But we are going to install these in here. He did dig all the foam out of here. Obviously, he's cut the hole for them. But look, there's standing water in here. Now, this is a issue. It happens with all the Tracker Grizzlies. Stupid design, the way this thing runs all the way back. The water can actually get behind this one a little bit. So I got to see how this thing is set up. There's still some foam up underneath these holes back here. I think that's what's holding this water up. So I'm going to try to clear out a drainage path for him a little bit better. What I might do is take a hole saw and put a hole through this vertical wall here and maybe through this one. This is only like 1/8 inch thick. It's bent like a C channel in there, and it's welded to the floor. It is welded solid all the way down, and it's holding water from getting from one chamber to the other and eventually finding its way back out to where the drain plug is. So I'm going to try to figure that out for him, because I want to put a sheet in here, because it's going to be easier to put the sheet in when we have this bigger opening than trying to come through the smaller opening inside of the hatch. So I'm going to cut probably 2 pieces and have to put it in pieces, because there's no way that I could fit a whole piece in there, because it's a lot of space, and obviously it's a lot bigger than the whole opening we got in the top of the deck to put that piece in. So that's what I got to do tonight. I want to go ahead and get this floor in here, get these hatches permanently installed both sides. Now, this standing water in here, I had the same issue on the other side. Let me show you what I did with it. Now I got this primer ball down here off an old gas tank that I had. Probably got 20 of these laying around. But I took the ends off it and I just shoved it down into the water and pumped the primer ball until the water started coming out. And I got majority of the water out of here. I'm going to take the shop vac and vacuum up the rest of this and put some more drainage holes in here like I was talking about on the other side. Same thing over here. Put a sheet in here, permanently install this hatch. It's got a lot of leaves in here. Try to vacuum some of this up and make sure that the water drainage is doing what it's supposed to do before we turf it, because once I put this floor in there, there's nothing else we're going to be able to do with it. And these snake lights are going to be a little tricky because it is a center console. It's got this on the side right here. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to run these lights up next to this, or if I'm just going to start them up here. I don't know. I'd like to have it run all the way back on this deck. We got to see how they are. They're pretty nice looking lights, so I don't think we're going to have any issues with them performance-wise, but figuring out how to install them. Now, the rooster tail lights, I think we're going to put those right here, right on top of these back pods. He's got step pods, both port and starboard. So I'm pretty sure they're going to end up going right up in here as long as I got access to run those wires for them. And the other thing that's kind of tricky with this build is his front light he wants to put on here. Now, look at this deck. The thing is bowed up humongously right there. And this is where his lights got to go. I'll show you the lights in the box over there, but it's like a big V-shaped light. It looks like it's pretty good quality, but I might have to make some type of a bracket or something in order to mount it up here because it's nowhere near flat. I mean, it raises up at least 3/8 of an inch, and you'll see it dramatically when I put that piece up there. It's got like a 3/8 of an inch gap here on either side, and then the middle sitting down flat. So got a couple issues we got to work out, but the main thing I want to get done is get that piece off, sheet over that, and then get this back deck area finished up. And I got to clean this thing. I need to clean it up really good because Austin's going to be here at 7:30 in the morning, and hopefully we're going to get the entire boat turfed and completely finished tomorrow. I'm definitely going to have to come back and finish up some of the electrical because there's no way I'm going to finish it all up tonight. I'm going to try to fit this big boat up in the garage. Hopefully it'll fit in there, or at least get majority of it in there, but I've got my work cut out for me. Let me show you guys what he's got as far as these lights go. All right, so this is his box of stuff right here. Now this is the light I was talking about. This thing is heavy duty, man. It's nice. It's got little circle holes on either side, and those are for his nav lights. He's got little red and green circle nav lights that I got to hook up in there too. They're right here. So I'm going to put those in there. It's got lots of wiring and stuff in here. Oh, this thing, I almost forgot about this thing. He added this last minute, a deckhand. So we've got a big deckhand in here he wants to put on the front. It's basically just like a winch for an anchor. It's an anchor winch. Not one of my favorite things, but hey, he wants to use it, so that's what we're going to do. He does have the snake lights in here. Huh. I don't know how long these are, but we're going to figure it out. You see all this stuff came from Southern Light LED. I looked them up. They seem like they're a pretty decent brand. Never used these before. I have my own guy that I use for this, LED Custom Ink, and I like his products a lot better than those snake lights. They are a lot beefier, but it is what it is. And we just got some wire in here and stuff he's got for the spotlight right here. So look at this. Let's go set this thing up there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, this thing is going to be a pain in the ass to install on this tracker. But look. Oh, even we're going to have to take that front light off. We're not going to need that anymore. That's for his LED pole light right there. We're going to take that off. But, I mean, it's not even touching on that bracket, and it's just sitting way up in the air. I don't know. It's weird. We're going to have to play around with this and get it set up right, but that's what I was talking about. This thing's teeter-tottering, man. The whole deck is just really bowed up right there. If I have to, I'll add a little metal bracket on it or alter these or something, but it's going to be pretty neat. That's how it's going to look. He does have a trolling motor he's going to be installing, and he's going to put that on the side. That way he can have this thing up on the front. I don't know, I think it's a pretty cool build. He's got a T-top in here too. Obviously, he doesn't have the top part on it. He didn't want to drive with it on there all the way from Jersey. and it just bolts together. So he took the bolts out of it and popped it off, but it's a pretty cool idea to have a little T-top on a boat this style. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to fit this thing up in the garage, and I'm gonna get to work. All right, so look, I put a hole right there, and the water's just pissing in there now. I'm gonna try to do the same thing on the other side. It's gonna be a lot harder over here because I got these pumps in the way, but just that 1/2 inch hole, that will help out a lot. Gallons of water were just trapped in there that could never find their way out. All right, guys, check it out. I got the thing in the garage, man. Oh my gosh, this baby is tight. Look, she's literally touching the exterior wall and sitting up on the concrete cinder block foundation. And I don't have but maybe 4 or 5 inches of clearance back here, but it's in the garage. Look at that. I can reach it with my fingers. I can't fit through there. That's why I got the door cracked so I can slide around, get to the other side. But yeah, that's about the max size boat I'm gonna be able to fit in here without making some type of like dollies, which is something I'm probably gonna end up doing. Make some dolly carts that I can put the boats on, and then I don't have to have them on the trailers. But still, 1860 pretty much fills up this shop I got here at my house. But yeah, so I got a little bit of water still standing in here. It's basically just sitting in this little gunnel though. I'm gonna shop vac the rest out of there. You can see the shavings where I put a hole in there, and the other side did a little bit better. It was a little bit lower. I could get it from the inside. This one I had to do from over here, but it is going to drain majority of the water out now. So I feel confident in that. But now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna build the sheet floor for this and get these installed, get these hatches permanently installed so we can get ready for turf tomorrow. I did lay out all of his stuff here, and I had to call him because these are the lights that I showed you earlier, and these are short run. I wasn't really sure what these were for, and he said these were just extras. So I might actually take these and run these up against this piece right here. This is where his control wires and stuff and his steering cable's at, and I don't want to split up the long run that's going to go all the way down because I'm going to put it up underneath the side, up underneath there, and this is just going to be weird if it does that. And if he has to take this off, he's gonna rip that whole light off there. So I might just run a little short section here and pick up with the long one here. I don't know, but he got those. And then these are what they call snake tube lights. Now, I was picturing like a tube, maybe like a plastic house tube. You call it a snake tube. These are just LED strip lights. That's all they are. They do have a thicker gauge wire than the cheap Amazon ones, but I mean, the look of them, it's basically looks exactly like the cheap Amazon ones you get for $17.99, and I'm not impressed because I'm not trying to hate. Okay, I'm really not, because I don't know anything about this company. Southern Light LED, you know, this looks cool. This is their whole switch panel setup. That's badass. I'm excited to put that in there. This is what we're gonna have right here. This is gonna basically replace this switch panel right here, which just has his nav lights, aerator, the bilge, and the anchor light on it. And that's perfect because we have all those 4 switches right here, and then we got 4 more for the lights right here. This is the rooster tail light, so we're gonna put off the transom. And then it's got a bunch of wiring harnesses and stuff, and it comes with a big fuse right here. It's like a 60 amp inline breaker. So I'm not trying to hate, but I gotta keep it real. This is my guy, Custom LED Inc. This is where I get all my lights from, and let's just compare real quick, just because I want you guys to understand why I use these lights and see the difference in the quality of them, okay? So look, this is a roll of the lights that I use, that I get from my guy. Look at this, it's protected, it's thick, it's nice, right? It's got thick wire on it. I mean, it's pretty dope. I like these a lot. They're bright. They have multiple different colors. They got the RGB. They got the double way colors. You can do a white and blue, white and green, or you got the RGB. You can interchange all different colors. But let's just put these side by side and get a comparison. All right, so check this out, guys. And like I said, I'm not trying to hate. I don't want to talk trash about this company. I really don't. I'm just keeping it real. Like, the amount of quality difference in these 2 lights, the durability, the thicknesses, I mean, it's night and day. Now this is probably going to be fine in this boat. It's probably a lot better quality than the Amazon ones, but compared to the custom LED and fiber optics light that I use, I don't think it stands a chance. I really don't. I mean, it's not going to last as long as this one. It's not. These have literally videos of them running over them with a vehicle, backing up over him in his truck, and they still work. I have faith in these. These are the lights that I use. If you guys are interested in some of these lights, I'll leave the link in the video description. I'm probably even going to tag this company too, just because I'm using all this stuff, but I just wanted to show you that, guys, because this is the first company that I've used that really makes lighting kits, is this Southern LED lights. And I just wanted to compare it to what I use so you guys can understand why I use this and really see, you know, what you can get. Because I guarantee you these, they're probably the same price or even cheaper than those, because he's a nice guy and he sells quality product and it's a small shop. So anyways, gave you a free little plug there, buddy. So we're going to get this stuff figured out and installed in the boat, but I got to do this metal work first. I just want to show you guys what we got going on. I'm going to put you on the hyperlapse. I'm going to go cut a piece for the floor. The way I'm going to make this is pretty simple. It's just going to come out and bend up this side right here. I'm going to put some rivets in there, shoot it down, put this hatch in here permanently. Both sides, get this stuff removed and clean this whole boat up, because in the morning, Austin's going to be here bright and early. We're going to get this bad boy turfed. Let's get back to work. So I got the floor installed in there and I started looking at this hatch, and he did order this hatch from me. Obviously this is my hatch, that's why it looks good and uniform, but issue with it is he did not get the drain tube. Now I sell so many hatches, I ship them everywhere, and if you don't want the drain tube, you don't get it. It's an extra $10, but we got to put a drain tube in here. I mean, we're about to turf this thing. I know these hatches are painted, but I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. He can come back and touch up some paint. He's going to thank me 1,000 times later, because I'm going to put a drain tube in here. I'm going to run it down to the corner of the floor. And that way, if any water runs over inside of here, his stuff and his tackle or whatever he's got in there is going to stay dry. He doesn't have any storage in this boat. So I guarantee you that his girl is going to be putting her purse and stuff in here. And if the shit gets wet, he's going to be the one that's going to hear about it. So this is going to keep your girl's stuff dry, and it's going to keep you out of the doghouse. So I'm going to go ahead and weld on a drain tube on both of these hatches, port and starboard. I'm going to get this done. It's take me like 10 minutes and we'll get back to work. All right, so you can see what I did here. I went ahead and added the drain tubes. I did hit these with some self-etching primer. It's damn near the same color as what he had, and I guarantee you he will never even know that I did this until he watches this video. Very simple, just a little 1/2-inch piece of pipe and weld it all the way around, drill the hole. Then I can attach my hose to it, run it down and through the bottom of the floor. I mean, this is something you need to get. If you're gonna order hatches from me, spend the extra $10 to get these on there. Well worth it. All right, I'm gonna let these sit up here and dry for a few minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and put the floor in the other side over there, and then I'm gonna get both these hatches installed. Let's get back to work. guys, so I did just remove this plastic access hatch that he had installed in here, and I really don't understand the point of this. I mean, he said that he paid somebody to dig the foam out of here. I don't know if he really paid somebody or he just didn't want to take credit for it, but there's no foam dug out of here at all. This access hatch is basically pointless. I mean, the foam is like almost all the way up to the top of it. So I'm glad that we took this out of here though, because I cut this piece of aluminum right here, and this is a 080. I'm basically just gonna rotate this down. That way when we turf over it, it'll be nice and flat and flush deck. There's no point in having this in here because, as you can see, there's nothing that you can access inside of here. So I'm gonna rotate this down. This is probably the last thing I'm gonna get done tonight. And then tomorrow I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup and wiping this thing down. It's like 11:30 at night. I've already worked probably close to 30 hours this weekend, and I haven't had a day off in a while. So I'm tired, and Austin's going to be here at 7:30 in the morning, so I got to get this thing going. But I did finish up the floor inside of both of these back bench hatches, and this is ready to go for turf. I do have to remove this in the morning and take these studs off of here for the seats that he's got in here. I'm thinking that I might actually remove those seat bases also and then put those on top of the turf. It'll make it easier for me. I got one up front too, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing installed. I'm gonna put some recessed rivets in here and try to keep this as smooth as possible. I mean, you're still gonna see a little ripple in here, but there's really nothing I can do about it. But it will still look a whole lot better than having this thing up there, because the lip on this is like almost 3/8 of an inch. And if we leave that in there, we can't turf over it. We got to cut around it, and it's pointless. So I'm gonna put you guys back on the hyperlapse. I'm gonna finish installing this piece, and then tomorrow morning we're gonna pick up with the God Austin, and we're gonna turf this entire boat. I'm hyped, guys. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so I just finished up installing this piece over this access panel. It sits down pretty flush. I really don't think it's gonna be noticeable over top the turf, but I completely forgot about something that is a big deal with these trackers. Now, for some reason, Tracker decided it would be a good idea to install these floors with these big steel drive nails. Now, I don't understand it. I mean, look, it's welded solid all the way across here, and yet they still came in here with these big steel drive nails. Now, not only are they like sticking up 1/4 of an inch, but they're steel. I hate it, man. But in order to do a professional turf job in here and run it all the way up to this deck, I'm gonna have to come back and grind down every single one of these. There's so many of them, man, especially in the floor. It is just ridiculous, but that's what I'm gonna do. Well, you can see them oxidizing a little bit. I gotta do this tonight. I'm gonna put you guys on the hyperlapse and get these things ground down. Let's get back to work. All right, so I got all these retarded steel drive nails ground down. It's a little after midnight now, and this is just ridiculous, man. I don't know who the hell engineered this thing. I mean, obviously the tracker engineers are retarded with all the foam and the way all this stuff's set up, but these steel drive nails, they really piss me off. I don't care if Johnny Morris himself thought this was a good idea. I will bitch smack you for putting these in here. I'm not even playing, man. I hate these things. It's such a stupid design. You pay for a solid welded aluminum hull, and then you literally have like 100 steel drive nails in here. These things are gonna rust. It's freaking retarded. Anyways, guys, I gotta go to bed. We still got a little bit of work to do. We gotta clean up this back area. We got to take this off of here and these seat posts out of here, but I'm going to catch up with you guys in the morning. Austin and I are going to finish cleaning this thing up. We're going to start turfing it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, guys, so Austin just got here. Now, we got a lot to do to get this turf in here. He's already getting started taking some of this stuff apart. I'm gonna put you guys on the hyperlapse and we'll circle back once we get going with this project. Let's get right into it. All right, so we got her cleaned up good. These trackers, they have like a grit texture to them, so we got to sand that down to get this turf to stick good to it. A little bit of extra prep work, but the prep work is very important before you put this turf in here. You only got one shot at this, so we got everything cleaned up good. And then went ahead and I wiped the whole boat down with some acetone. And now we're getting ready to do our first sheet. The way we're gonna do that is start on this floor and come up and then back up and cut it off, trimmed over there. But we're gonna put a line up here with a straight edge, give us a straight spot, and then we'll start from that line over. That way we know that our next piece that goes in here for the seam is gonna line up. And with this cut groove turf, we're gonna have to continue from that point and run it all the way back because we have to keep those lines perfectly straight from one end to the other. I'm gonna put you guys on the hyperlapse and we're gonna get this thing going. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so we got all of the turf installed, and man, it turned out so clean. I'm so glad Austin was here to help me today, because this cut groove stuff with these lines, it's hard to keep it straight, man. But look at that. We got these lines straight as an arrow all the way from the front to the back. Turned out really good, man. I'm pumped. This was a lot of work. It took about 6 hours just to put the turf in here. And then after Austin left, I came back and I had to do a lot of trim work around these hatches and around the sides. And I also put some turf up in the back over here. These are the two hatches that I built for him a while back, but look, I put turf down on the floor. He's got a nice compartment in there. I still gotta drill a hole in the bottom of this subfloor and run his drain tube down there, but I'll get to that shortly. This thing looks killer though, man. I wish I had his seats so I could go ahead and mount them. You really get a feel for what it looks like, but and it is what it is. I mean, I had to put these screws in here. I had to use bigger screws because the ones he had in here, half of them were already stripped out when he brought it here. And the same issue, just the same exact thing with that 2072 is brand new. I mean, the thing was literally brand new. It was only a couple months old and all these screws had already stripped out. These are going to strip out too eventually. He's going to have to come back with a bigger screw, and eventually, if this was my boat, I would just put roots in there, and then if I had to get them out, I'd drill them. But kind of a crappy design, especially considering that you're probably going to mount your seats right onto this. But any type of seats you mount to this removable piece, well, it's going to end up working it loose. But turf turned out sick, man. Looks really good. Super glad to have this thing finished up, man. Now, something that we did a little different with this build, I cut around these and dropped them down. See how they're sitting almost flush? I cut around the bases in the front and back. I did the same thing around these bases for his T-top. Now, originally, he told me not to mess with that. And it's just because he had a bunch of 5200 underneath of it, and literally like 2 screws out of the 4 in each one of these legs was being held in there by 5200. So what I did was I put some bigger screws in there that are still countersunk, and they look good. They're a little bit longer, and these were actually machine screws. The ones he had in there were like wood screws, so they didn't really have, you know, much thread on them, but we got these in there, and this thing is solid, man. It's a whole lot more solid than it was when he brought it here. I guarantee you that. This whole rig turned out really dope though. I'm gonna hop up inside the boat and I'll give you all a little walkthrough. Check it out, man. This is a good sized boat. I mean, even with the T-top up here, I still got room to walk around. For an aluminum John boat, especially a bass tracker, I think it's pretty sick. I love this steering wheel. The way this thing can fold down and up, and it's got the safety steer on it. This one actually has a Baystar too, the hydraulic steering. It only has a 40 horsepower outboard, but it's a dope rig, man. He's got lots of room up here. Now, the one thing I'm going to do with these lights is probably stop the long one here, run the short one here. That was what I've come up with for the best scenario as far as lights go. But it's a pretty sweet rig, man. All right, guys, this project is looking really sick. I'm glad that all this turf is in here. That was basically stage 1 of the build. Part 2 is going to be all of the electrical that I got to put in here. We got lots of LED lights, and those lights are from Southern LED. They're pretty cool. I mean, I don't know much about them, but it's Southern Light and LED. That's the company name. But I did post a TikTok from a short clip of comparing those with the normal lights I use from Custom LED Inc. And man, I tell you what, there are a lot of people that have Southern Light LEDs, you know what, in their mouth. I was surprised. I mean, the amount of feedback that came back from this short clip, I don't know anything about the company. Their lights are 40 bucks. The ones that I use are close to 80 bucks. They're twice the price. They literally look like they're twice as nice, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but there was a couple people that commented on the TikTok and said that they had used those lights from Southern LED lights and that they had issues with them after about 1.5 years. They started doing exactly what I said earlier in the video, and the rubber housing on them kind of dry rotted and came off, and they're just waiting for them to crap out because there's no protective cover over top of the LED lights. But I don't know, guys. It blew my mind how many people like stood behind this brand. I guess that it's a duck boat type go fast boat thing, and since they're called snake tubes instead of cheap LED light strips, then everybody likes them. I don't know. I stand behind the Custom LED Inc. because that's the lights that I use. I've been doing this a long time. I mean, I not only like those lights, but I think they're the best that I've ever seen. Now, if there's something better, by all means, I would be more than willing to check them out, but I guarantee you it's not those lights that we're putting in this boat, hands down. Either way, guys, let me know if you have any information about those LED lights or what you think about them, because a lot of people want to voice their opinion about them. I'd like to hear what you think about them. I'm going to get this build finished up very shortly because I got a lot to do, guys. I got big builds projects coming up. I mean, we're looking at Thanksgiving in a couple of days, Christmas right around the corner. Before you know it, it's going to be first of the year, and then spring is knocking at our door. I got to finish up all these projects for these guys so they can get out there and fish these tournaments when they start up. So I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button. Leave a comment. Part 2 is going to be all about the LED lights that we put in this boat. I figured that at this point, it's worth its own video. I'll see you on the next one. Let's get back to work.